It's our very first plenary for today, and we'll have government representation at the very highest level, just to speak to this issue, securing inclusive futures through gender-equitable legal frameworks. And I'd like to welcome the moderator for this plenary, Professor Shola Omotola, Professor of Political Science, Federal University, Ekiti, FUOYE, Ekiti State, and consultant in NILDS. But let's put our hands together for Professor Omotola as he comes to the podium. Please just keep clapping until he gets here, Professor Omotola. So I'll hand over to you now to introduce members of the panel, and then we'll move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. My pleasure to be here. And the focus of our panel is beyond dialogue, securing inclusive futures through gender-equitable legal frameworks. And I have the pleasure to invite the panelists. First, distinguished Senator Sharafadeen Alli, Senator representing Oyo South Senatorial District. You are welcome, sir. I think we can do better than that. Thank you. Then joining the distinguished senator on this panel, we have Mrs. Tony Basi, partner, Bawo and Igodalo Mrs. Tony Basi, can you welcome her with? Yeah, like I said earlier on, the theme of the panel is beyond dialogue. And I think in the last couple of months, under the platform of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies alone, I think this will be the 5th dialogue or workshop or meetings that I will be attending, participating on similar issues of this nature, gender inclusion. Now, I'm happy that we are now saying we've had enough dialogue. We need to take it beyond the level of dialogue and move to the level of action. And that is the main focus of this panel. I'm going to begin because our time is very, very short. So I'm not going to make any preamble or introductory remark that will take so long. I just want us to go straight into the conversation of the day. And I will begin from my sister here, the barrister. Now we are talking about securing, inclusive futures through gender-equitable legislation. When we speak about securing inclusive future, what exactly should we expect in this particular future we are talking about? Over to you, Marisa.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So I think for me, the first thing that comes to my mind, and I'm sure that's the same for most of the people in the room when we talk about legal framework, and we're thinking around the legislature, we're thinking around the National Assembly. It first starts with when we think about the composition of the National Assembly, and for the people who are not aware, we know it's a global problem, firstly, but in Nigeria, just to set the tone, I think it's important that we also understand that, so for instance, at the Senate, we only have 4 women out of 109 senators, and we only have 16 women out of over 300 representatives at the House of Representatives. So that's the first thing. We cannot, firstly, be talking about an exclusive legal framework without having the women in the room in such a proportion that can make a difference. A simple experience that I had recently with a friend who was appointed on a board and who started thinking around whether or not she was suited for the board. It was a fast food company. And I said to her, who are the women who make the purchasing decisions in a family? and it's out of experience. It's the same thing that you want in relation to legal framework. You want the people who have a different perspective. I've had the privilege of working on a few legislations for the country, and I know that from ideation, when you're talking about what are we solving for, you want to have those conversations with a diverse number of people. This is absent. This is completely absent. We first start with training. When you at the point of ideation, you should have people who have the capabilities to gender mainstream, to be able to think through how will this affect women, and not just women, of course, we're talking about diversity, people with disabilities, just solving for every diverse member of the society from ideation. And then we now have, in terms of whether it is drafting, whether it is advocacy, when we have all these public hearings, we must have those diverse people in it. Otherwise, the people you're solving for will not benefit from the law when eventually you have pulled all those resources, human and capital, to ensure that it goes to the National Assembly. So to me, firstly, it must be that the right people with the right knowledge and skill set are part of that process from the get-go, from ideation. When we're solving for, we've identified a gap. That's the essence of a law. You want to institutionalize a solution for the country. And so if you're solving for that, you must at that point be solving for every category of the country. And that is the only way when we come to implementation stage. And that's why they tell you that quite a number of laws, but very poor implementation, because oftentimes is not fit for purpose. So I think maybe I will stop at this for the moment.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Permit me to recognize Honorable Kafilat Ogbara. Please, you are most welcome. I thought you were going to join us on the panel, ma. Thank you for the honor, ma. Yeah, we have just actually started. You have not missed much on the panel. The first speaker has just spoken about what we should expect in that future that we are talking about through this gender-equitable legal framework that we are talking about. And I think one key point that came out from her presentation is the need to find the right people, okay, in those position of influence, of power, so that they can make things happen, so that they can promote legislation, they can promote policies that can be beneficial to the generality of the people, especially women. Thank you so much for that insight. Let me move to the distinguished senator. Sir, we are talking about gender-equitable legal framework. So what exactly does this imply when we speak about gender-equitable legal framework? That is one. Hold on, sir. Secondly, how can it be attained? How can we achieve that gender-inclusive legal framework? Then who are the actors? Who are the people that can drive that process so that we can attain it?
Yeah,
so,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think we must first of all recognize that there are a lot of inhibitions to whatever we're talking about, especially within our society here. There are the political problems, the socio-cultural, the religious. There are some areas within our setting where you find it difficult for a woman to get elected. I was at a retreat yesterday where a judge of the Court of Appeal was trying to review a judgment with us, and he said the political leaders tried as much as they could to maneuver in ensuring that a woman did not get a particular seat. It is because of the kind of environment in which we are in. And I think how to achieve that or get to where we want is, one, through advocacy, lobbying, getting a lot of our people involved into what we are doing. And it's not just about, we also need to think of the kind of, because if you want to say you want to change a law or you want to make laws, you There is need for public hearings. There is need, when we have public hearings, we should have people who will come and hear their views. They must be able to come, let people know this is what we want. I will use my own as an example. I chaired the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters. When we came on board, we realized that, yes, there is need for us to amend the Electoral Act. And going through the last election, we realized that the population of women and youth that participated in the election was quite high. And we felt people, before the elections, we felt the Electoral Act was the best that we had. But after putting it into use, we realized that there are still a lot of flaws there. And we now decided that we must, one, consult as widely as we could and get a lot of people included in whatever we are doing. And what did we do? After our technical sessions, we'd add a retreat in the Southwest, in Ibadan. And we invited all the youth organizations across the Southwest to come. By the time later, we now went to Port Harcourt and brought in a lot of women to come and look at it. And not just looking at it, and let them tell us how has the election in difficult terrains affected them. They are able to come up that election in this place are militarized. So what we need to first of all do is demilitarize elections and also get them involved. But unfortunately, what I've seen, like the last seminar we had with NILDS, very many of our people are women, prefer to head NGOs. They do not prefer to go into politics. You need to be there before you can get the desired results. Yes, it's not easy. It may be difficult at the beginning, even for men. Nothing comes easy. But you must be able to come in. And by the time we have more, but for a few people, if you go into the National Assembly, you bring up a bill, and like the example that Her Excellency, the former Senator, I've forgotten, Olujimi said, he said they were almost succeeding in the Night Senate. They invited the senators' wives, brought them on board. By the time the husband got to and said, so you are part of those who want to take my seat. The women decided not to be part of it again. So we need to do some more job on this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, distinguished Senator. I think you have raised quite a number of important points about what we need to do to facilitate that process. We need strong advocacy, consultation, partnerships, lobbying, and we even need champions who can help us to lead the process. But you made one point that is very, very vital for me towards the end of your presentation, talking about the interest that in a program you had, you interacted with people and you discovered that young people prefer to go and work in the NGO world instead of joining politics. I want the honorable member, Capilat,
yes,
to take off from that particular point. What can we do, you know, to stimulate the interest of young people, of women in politics?
Thank you very much. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody here present. Well, for me, I think gender inclusive, particularly for women, because when you speak about gender, we are talking about men, women, girls and boys. But if we are making particular reference to women, I think we have a long way to go and we have a lot to do. Because the existing women, let me just answer your question first. The existing women that are in leadership positions, that are already at the forefront politically, need to be the right role models. And we must represent the right things at the right time so that the younger ones coming behind will be encouraged and, you know, they'll be motivated. But for young people, I think basically it's an inbuilt thing. You have to have the passion for politics. You have to be interested in contributing to your immediate environment. You have to have that passion. It's very important. Without the passion, nothing much can be done, even when you mentor them. So once the passion is there and they show the interest, they go to the right quarters, join the right political party, they can take off from there. And for them to also be motivated and be encouraged, we need the right legal framework, like your question went to the distinguished senator. And those that can drive this are the parliamentarians, particularly because most of the time you find out that once there's a motion or a bill to be debated that has to do with the interest of women, the inclusion of women, nobody wants to hear about it in the House. They are here. This is the distinguished senator. Even before you present it, before you even come, once they know that it has been listed, they mobilize themselves and they are all there, the men, and they kill it before you even go anywhere. But we are on top of it. We are on top of it, and we hope to get there. Because it is very important. It's an understatement. We are not just talking about put women there. We are talking about eligible, capable, dependable women that can drive this country. Women are multitasking. They are very intelligent. Check out where a lot of women are heading in private sector. You find out that they get the desired results. And these are your sisters, your mothers, your cousins that are women. We are not just talking, you are talking about somebody taking somebody's seat. Your daughter will be there someday. And we are not talking about now. We are not talking about now. All over the world, I just came back from China, and a lot of their sectors that we were taken to, I found out that most of them are women. Sometimes we don't even get to see any man, and they drive the economy so well. Even the police sector, the security sector, a lot of them are women. And this is why these countries work. Where you are underestimating the potentials of about half of your population, we are not going to go anywhere. We are mothers. We are the ones that nurture you. When the mother is okay at home, the children will be automatically fine. Even look at your followers, your workers that work with you. Some of them that have women, that have things doing, that have women that are not depending on them, they thrive well. They have the mental balance to even work and give you results at work. But when you have a woman that is dependent on the man, that has nothing to do, that just sits at home, that is not creative, is not putting anything on the table, is not adding any value, you get to have problem even as a person, because she has to depend on you for everything that she has to do. So this is not just about putting women there, it's about national development. It is not negotiable. We are not asking to negotiate about it. And most of the time, women, girls, young ladies are not encouraged because the political parties are not even encouraging them. And this is why we are saying that we need political party reform. We don't want a situation where you are going to have a list of candidates and they are all going to be men. How? 40 men from Lagos in the House of Assembly. We know that Lagos State has given us like 3 or 4 now. But a lot of states are like that. In Kano, everywhere, 44 over 44. Before I came here, we had 24 men in the House of Representatives in the 9th Assembly. And this time around, I'm the only woman out of 24. It is highly unacceptable. We need our political parties to be reformed, and they should insist. We want it in our constitution. We want our political act to insist that there must at least be a woman. We don't want a single gender list anymore. A single gender list can take Nigeria nowhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kafilat. I think I'm vindicated now by conscripting her to join this panel. Thank you so much for the insights you have offered. A few things came out very powerfully for me, and most importantly, the question of women in leadership as role models. So in the little pocket of spaces that we occupy as young women leaders in our various organizations, what kind of example, what kind of motivation, what kind of encouragement, what kind of support, what kind of platform are we providing for those around us to be able to participate and learn the rope? But because this matter is so passionate and so sensitive, I'm going to defer again to the barrister. Let me hear your view on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. I think a couple of points that I want to make. I think it's not in doubt, and I know that the men and the women know that women bring value and that women should be in the room. But the truth is that they're not going to give it to the women. Whether we like it or not, you know, they're making a case for it, and I do appreciate the passionate plea that was made this morning. But the fact that you deserve to be in the room is not going to get you a seat in the room. And this is why, if you've looked at some of the economies around the world, they adopted the legislative approach. You must make provision for it. We're saying beyond dialogue. If we're saying beyond dialogue, we're then saying that what are the ways we can institutionalize it in such a way that you can compel the men to give you a seat in the room. Because even it is competitive, even for the men. So how much so for the women who are just trying to get in there? It's not likely. That is the reality check that I think we need to come out with firstly this morning, that it is not going to be given to you. And this is why the gender bills, the advocacy around ensuring, and I know that the head of NILDS mentioned it this morning, that they are working and that they were going to be pushing it. It is a critical agenda. It should be put in the forefront. It should be a front-burning matter. That is what we should be asking for. Because it is not being treated as such. There's so many bills and laws that are taking place. Beyond that, there have been calls for women to support this. How many women in the room are supporting advocacy in relation to this? How many people have raised up their hands? Yes, it's great to have this rousing applause and supporting the ideas. But how many people are raising their hands towards ensuring that we can institutionalize a process where women, it's not a choice, you must have us in the room. That is where we should be going to. And so on a more sustainable manner, we will firstly, speaking onto the Constitution, I like that because she mentioned that at the tail end, getting that in. We need to get it in. Secondly, then we're talking about long-term. What do we need to do long-term? The social-cultural issues. Economic opportunities for women. These are the only things that can ensure that also we have the quality of women in the room. We have to then ensure that we're bringing forth a steady pipeline of qualified women who can then advocate for laws that are inclusive. It's the same thing, and it cuts across young people, persons with disability. Again, going back to that, to ensure that they're given, so it's not just putting in the law, ensuring that they're there, but we're talking about a sustainable process. A sustainable process means that all those other issues that are tied to gender, economic opportunities, how many women are then getting it? Because if you have them empowered, then they're able to even pay for anything that they need to pay. You don't even probably need to restructure your forms or the cost and all of that. It's because they're not empowered in the first place. So you then go into the root causes of why women are unable to also play in that field and ensure those social, cultural issues as well as economic issues, those two very primary, because stigma, shaming, and all those things that prevent women from actually coming out. And I think the point again that it is not that women are not interested. It is ensuring that they are given mandatorily, and I must really emphasize that unless we do this, I really think that it's going to be a dialogue for next year.
Okay. Thank you so much, Barrister. At least somebody speaking from a realist perspective, saying that no holder of power will voluntarily relinquish that power. You need to struggle for it. Speaking from the Machiavellian tradition, and I think I sincerely appreciate that. But you ended, and virtually all the three panelists have spoken about this idea of legislation. Let me now ask the next question, and I want all of you to just take turn one after the other in responding. Maybe you can propose a specific gender, related legislation you think that we need to advance this cause. So, anybody can,
okay,
distinguished senator. Yeah.
I think I want to quickly quickly comment on what Honorable Obara said. It's not that the political parties are not giving women opportunities. I do not agree entirely. And please listen to me. I am a practitioner. Women, in some cases, do not pay for nominations forms. Some, they pay half. They don't pay for expression of interest. They were given opportunities. The truth is this. Listen to me. I am one of you. I am one of you, and you need me.
One house, please.
I'm a he for she.
One house, please.
Yes. The truth of the matter is this. I remember when we were contesting, when we were holding meetings, senatorial candidates in our party, APC, we had between 10 and 12 women. By the time we got to the house, some were not elected. So it transcends beyond the idea of giving them nomination forms or nominating them as candidates. It's a way of, like the barrister said, we need to really ask for particular number of seats. Let's go to Kenya, for example. Let's go some other places. These are things that we can do. If you continue, like say, let parties nominate, it's difficult. We may not get there. And that's the reality. Even those of us in this room, if we bring a man here and a woman here, the likelihood is that the man will win the election. And women will always say that we are in the majority. Okay, those who lost, what happened? Is it that they are not good? They are very good women. We have a lot of eligible, well-qualified women around. But this is a competition. Like, let's go to the private world today, in the banking industry. You have a lot of women who are headed there. Let's go to judiciary. You have a lot of, and they are doing very fantastically well. But this is a place, this is a different terrain where people will need to elect them. So we need to do more than that. And what I think we should actually do is let us try to pursue this gender equity bill. And we will need everybody to agree with us and see it through. Thank you.
Okay. Gender equality legislation. Honorable Ma.
Thank you very much. Distinguished Senator, you are going to take that one back. That when they put a woman and a man, it's likely that the man will win. How?
You won.
How?
But some other women lost.
If a political party presents a man and another political party presents a woman, it's likely that the man will win. How? We are not, women, are you taking that in?
Hey,
hello?
You are not being realistic.
Hello, no, it's not reality, sir. The truth is that there are women that are better than men. Just take that first.
No doubt about it.
Take that in first.
I said that.
You talk about hoodlums, area boys, whatever. We meet the men match to match, even better than them on the field. So who is afraid of area boys? Who is afraid of hoodlums? They are human beings like us. I relate with them like my brothers. And I try to even get a lot of them out of the streets. It depends on the approach and the way we relate with them.
Exactly.
These area bombs and hoodlums you are referring to, some of them are very intelligent in situations that got them there. When you engage them, you find out that they are even more intelligent than some people you will expect. So nobody is afraid of, women are not afraid of hoodlums. They are not afraid of area boys. We are ready to face the men headlong. Wherever the political parties present a woman, there is no possibility that the woman cannot win. When you have a woman and a man, whoever the electorate wants is the one that will win. And it depends on the groundwork, the hard work, the effort, and everything that you put in to do your campaign. That's how you will win. So the point we are making here is that you said that it's not enough for political parties to nominate a woman. We are saying that the political parties should have it on their reform, that there must be a woman on every list that will be going to INEC. You cannot have all men. We are going to be rejecting that. We want our political parties to at least insist that a woman must come from every state. At least one woman for House of Assembly, for House of Rep. When we have even more, the better for us. There are states already that have more than a woman in the House of Assembly. Excuse me, sorry. For instance, in the northern states, they are only men. There are states in the north that a woman dare not go and collect the form. You dare not. They will castigate you. They will call you names. All these things must stop. It doesn't make it right. So we must all work towards ensuring that these changes are made. Thank you.
Yeah, Honorable, I'm still coming back to you, ma'am. This idea you are pushing, political parties having a list containing a woman, whatever the number, what kind of legislation will you want to suggest to advance that idea?
Yes, thank you. I'm a member of the Committee on Constitutional Reform as we speak. So we are trying to put something together where every political party will at least have a woman as a candidate from their state. Let me tell you the truth. The truth is that most of the time, the primaries that we conduct are through elections, through delegates, or probably through option A4, depending on whatever the party adopts. But the truth, the genuine truth, is that most of the time, political parties nominate in their own way. You know, you have to have the right leadership. You have to work with the right caucus. You have these things play out within the political party. So once we have it, once the political parties know that they cannot send a single gender list to INEC, the political parties in every state will know to get the women. That is the truth.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Barrister. If you are given the opportunity today to suggest a specific gender legislation that can help us advance what we are discussing, what would that be?
Yes, the good thing about being a lawyer is that you can adopt. So I hereby adopt the submission of Honorable in toto, without any additions, and certainly no subtractions.
I'm not sensing any gang up against the distinguished senator anyway.
No, not at all. Not at the
But I think very interesting conversation. Because of our time, please, because of our time, I'm going to ask this last question. And I want all of you to make your idea known. You know what happened to the gender equity bills under the 9th Assembly. Now you are mooting fresh ideas about legislations that can help us advance this cause. What can we do? Different actors. What can we do differently to ensure that whatever legislation we are advancing do not suffer the same pitfall of the gender equity bill of the 9th Assembly? So, just very briefly, one after the other. Thank you.
Okay, I mean, I can just first saying it's very important that we know the why. I think a lot of people didn't really fully appreciate the why. Economically, I see that they're pushing out data now that tells us how much we're losing globally as a result of women not being part of the decision makers. It's costing us. It's costing the economies all around the world. It's costing Nigeria. Advocacy that explains the why, so that when we then have, because again I spoke around the fact that there was so much push on the side of advocacy in the last session, but not a lot of women participated, and not a lot of Nigerians participated. So I think, one, the advocacy has to be very strategic, has to be very clear, has to be broken down in such a way that we understand why, especially to the men actually, to understand why it is in their interest for the women to be in the room. So it is not a positioning. It is more like we all go to the same markets. It's going to affect you positively when we then have a more diverse and inclusive legislation or a governance structure. And then that can also ensure that we move forward as a nation from an economic side.
Thank you so much, Barrister.
Well, in addition to what the Barrister said, I think the advocacy should not just be related to the issue of women. It should encompass everybody and all policymakers. Everybody that we believe can influence the passage of the bill, including women who are in very high offices who can influence their husbands at different times. And we know how we do this kind of thing. If we leave it just to the women, we may not be able to. And I think that's one of the whys that Madam said that we caused that one. If we go further, I think at one of NILDS sessions, we spoke about advocacy and lobbying and identifying the kind of areas that the strategies to be involved. If you're able to adopt all this, I think we won't have any problem.
Thank you so much, distinguished Senator. And I leave the final word to Honorable.
Well, presently, I think the leadership of the country has to have the political will. Political will is very important when you're talking about the legislation that has to do with inclusion of women in this country, because there are a lot of stakeholders involved. For instance, like I mentioned initially, in the north, you have the ulamas, the alfas, the imams. All these people need to be educated. You need to take that advocacy to them on the whys. They need to understand. Because in the Quran, most of the time they refer to the Quran. But what I try to say is that I am a Muslim as well. Even Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, during the wars, when the wounded warriors come back and all that, even on the field, she's the one that treats the wounded, warriors and all that. The role of the women has always been there, even traditionally. So we need to educate them on the need for that gender lens. Even when you have small committees for events or you want things to happen, and you have only men, when you infuse, just put one woman, and then you start seeing a different perspective to the ideas that she'll be bringing on board to make that event a success. So there are different other aspects you will take that advocacy to them to let them know the whys. And of course, in the South as well, in the Bible, they talk about women being submissive to the husband and all that. So we need our clerics, traditional rulers, our pastors, and everybody. Because, for instance, in the mosque, the women are at the back, the men are in the front. In the churches as well, we believe that the women, that the men are superior. These are some of the religious, psychological things that affect us. So we need that advocacy to get to every nook and cranny where it needs to get to. Why they should know that when the woman is okay, when the home is okay, the immediate society, it reflects, it bounces on, and that is how we can make a better nation. So we have to ensure that the woman is okay. It is compulsory. Even the global goals, it has it on number 5, gender equality. It's very important. If the world will achieve the global goals of no to poverty, eradication of hunger, and all these things, good health and all that, we must achieve representation of women at every level. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. After all said and done, I think it is clear from this panel that it is neither about women nor about men. It is about inclusive governance. It is all about inclusive development. It is about all of us. And for us to be able to push this through, as the panelists have rightly submitted, we need strategic, strong, focused, and clear, what did you call it now? Advocacy to be able to do that. And again, it came out very powerfully that it is something that involves a lot of stakeholders. The national leadership, the leadership in the National Assembly, religious leaders, traditional leaders, civil society organizations, and the media. It is our collective responsibility. On this note, please join me in appreciating these powerful and distinguished panelists for a wonderful job that they have done.
Well, Prof, just a second. Due to popular demand, I understand we can take 2 quick questions.
Okay.
This has been a very interesting one.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. So, Prof, over to you now. It's your job to decide.
Okay, I can see.
Yes.
Remember, there are women.
How do we share it now?
There are a lot of women with their hands up, Prof.
Okay, please, let me add 1 to make it 3. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So, madam, then you, then that man. No, there's a man there. So, 3. So, thank you.
I'm here.
No, I've taken 3, please.
But okay.
She's taking it by force. You know, you told women to take it by force.
Please give us a space. I have a mic here. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I have the mic too.
Okay, this is what we'll do. How many of us have the mic? So, Prof.
We can only, how many? Only 3.
2, but you added 1, so 3 tops. Yes,
so,
please
forget about whether you have the mic. I have taken that man in white cap. Then I have taken the lady in purple here. Were you the one I... Okay, yeah. So those 3 people, please. You have to bear with us. Can you give them the mic?
Oh, I think she's in green. That's green, right? Okay.
No, the lady here is in purple.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gender and color blind at this point.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tolu Lokwe Babajide, and thank you very much for a very interesting panel. And when Honorable Kafila was talking about all the challenges, you know, and thank you also because the National Gender Bill has been in the second reading for quite a while. When is it going to get out of the queue? That's the first question. The second question is that why it's good to lay all these issues that we have when it comes to electing women at the doorstep of men. But do you also know that majority of the electorate are women and they do not vote for the women? So what are we going to do about it? Because it's also about the reorientation. Other women, the bias, when we talk about bias, the people that have the most bias against women are women themselves. So thank you very much.
Women against women. Please take note for you to respond. Next.
Fantastic panel. Thank you, Toyin, for not falling our hand. I just want to say well done to the Honorable. And one thing I find interesting is that you weren't even listed to be here. But if you look at the program, you were not. The people who are women that were supposed to be here are not here. So that's the first indictment for me. We cannot have an innovation, a summit like this that is very germane to us as women, and we don't take it seriously. But when you were called upon, you went. And that's how it's supposed to be. When you see the gap, bridge it. Simple. Because as you said, we have the power to do it. Number 2, what are you doing because you're a fiery woman, I like that. So how many women are you, will I say, is it mentoring, dragging along, insisting, in fact, insisting, like, look, I can see this skill in you, I can see this in you, and you have to be there. So I just want to know if you are actually being intentional. I know it's a lot of work. And now to the Senator, you tried, sir, in holding your own. And we're going to hold you to it because you came here and you told us that, yes, you know, we need to do this and all. But if I ask you, you too, how many women are you being intentional about? So it's not just an issue of the rhetorics. We want to see it. Please, as you can see, I can talk. So
okay.
Which one of you is meant
Thank you. Yeah. Then a man now. See, no, that last guy there. Yeah, he's standing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Senator. Please, my name is Tommy Editi. My question goes down. It says, what do you have in mind for women who has all the required ability to move the state forward, but has no good financial background to back her up? Because if you leave it for those who are financially buoyant, we will keep on being led by family and friends.
Okay.
So please, what do you have in mind?
Thank you so much. Let me recap 3 questions that I think are very, very important. The first one has to do with the question of women not supporting women. How do we address that? The second one has to do with the question of mentoring. Distinguished Senator, Honorable Member, how many women are you taking on your wing, flying with you? Then the final one, financial challenges facing women. How do we address that? So I will allow the 3 of you, if you have anything in response, just very briefly. Thank you.
I think I'm concerned with only 1 or 2. The third one is for Honorable. Well, it's about mentoring. she said something. Depends on the caucus that you belong and having the right leadership. Anybody, a succession without a successor is failure. So, and in my own case, I have people that I'm mentoring, men, both male and female. And the most important thing is giving equal opportunity for everyone. So that the women will be able to, the female among them will be able to now exhibit the talents they have. And several numbers, it's not a particular number. I'm a leader, and I've been in politics, let me tell you this. I've been in this game for a little over 35 years. I became a local government chairman at 28. And ever since I've been there, in and out of office, going to back to my job and all these things. So it's not about a number. And one of the things that I had going for me during my last election was not about money. And that would lead me to that one. It's about what have you done for people? When you are on a radio program and people are calling to say, yes, this is the man who turned my life around. This is the man who did it. These are the kind of things that I think we should do. And answering the issue of money, there's nothing we can do without money. But in politics, you don't need to have so much of it. Yes, not so much of it. And that's the truth. One thing, you need to have good antecedents. Your upbringing, your background, your pedigree, they are very important. But they won't get anywhere without money. So there is a combination of the two. Thank you.
Thank you. Barrister.
Please, if I may go next, because I think Honorable Kafilat would have to close, because she would close on a very high note. So let me just get in a few comments. To speak to the point about women at the, I don't even want to reiterate it because by then I'm also reinforcing. I don't agree. Just sitting here, I've already seen some of the women who have supported me. So there are women who support women. There are women who don't support women or men. So I would say that in situations where you find that there's a woman that is not supporting you in whatever endeavor, find the women who are there to support you because they are also there. So look for the right men and women. And then the second point about how does the woman who doesn't have all this money, and then there was some also talk about women not being able to vote and certain things. So there's a lot of restructuring that needs to happen. I remember that one of the takeaways for me, I did a course with the PIC on gender and development last year. And one of the topics that was discussed was around women participation and all that. And one of the things that struck me just now was when they talked about, when we look at even just registration, how that can impact on outcome. You are talking about figures, how many women, there's so many women and all of that. We can talk about population, how many women are there, translate that into voters. But a simple scenario where they painted during that course when they talked about where you situate the registration box can actually determine how many women are going to vote. Because the women are in the market. And if you now situate it at the other side of town, they're not going to go and register. So there's so much in terms of dynamics that need to go in terms of restructuring to ensure that population translates into votes. And from the economic side, I think I talked about a more sustainable process. You can't look at it in isolation. If you are talking about how to get more women involved, you cannot just also be talking about how to put them there and the legislation. In addition, sustainably, you must also empower women economically. So we need to look at all those reforms around ensuring that the SMEDAs, the this, the that, all the financing, the BOIs, is structured in such a way that you can take the women in such a way that they are economically empowered and able to do those things that are necessary to get themselves into office.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I want to agree with the barrister on the note that women do support women. I also have a lot of women that supported me. And of course, there will be women that will not support you. But I want to say that politically, you will find a lot of women not supporting a woman that wants to contest an election in a political party. For instance, if we have 10 men or 9 men and just 1 woman, you can find all the women queue against 1 man because of the leadership, position of the leadership of the party. This is what causes it. Most of the time, the leadership of the party at that level, once they give a direction that this is where we are going, everybody marches on. And then when they have to vote, the woman may just have just her own vote. This is one aspect. This is what happens within the political party. But there's a need for us as women, like she also said, that look for women that will support you. If you find yourself in this situation as a candidate within a political party, and you know that probably because this person is an incumbent, or because he has a lot of more money than you, or because he has more experience as a politician, you are new, look for women that will support you, and then ensure that you get women registered for election. I'm happy she mentioned that registration process. Once you are not registered with INEC to vote, there's no way, this is the only way you can have, your votes translated. So once there's no registration, there's no voting and there's no number. So it's important for us as women to be responsible in this aspect, not to look at the difficulties that we may go through when we have to, ensure that we are registered. Then another aspect is that the leadership of the party, we need them to continue to encourage women, like I said. It's very important. We have to be deliberate about it. Most of the time, even the men, they use the women against the woman. Once they know that you have an edge, sometimes the women are even more qualified than the men that they want to use. The man that they want to use may not even be able to speak good English. And here you have a PhD holder, a woman that is polished, that is qualified, that is fresh, that is good. And then they use the women against that woman to harass her, to embarrass her. They do a lot of things politically, but you have to be ready, you have to be confident, you have to be determined, you have to be resolute, and you have to be ready to face anything for anything at the political level. That is that about women working against women. And then for mentoring, even before I got to this level, I have also mentored women, and I have women that I have positioned in different aspects of life. So it's a continuous process, and we'll continue to do our best. And for those of us that are new, that want to join politics, we now have the local government autonomy, which means that most of the time now, the local government will be sort of independent in their own way. So we need more of our women to try to participate in the local government elections. You can start at the councillorship level, look at your immediate environment, your neighborhood, start participating in community work, start seeing how you can reach out to your immediate community. You can start by being a councillor. It's very easy. Don't let anybody give you any, try to cover anything as if there's a big deal. As a councillor, if you hold your community very well and your people love you, you will make it. And make sure you join the right political party. That is that for mentorship. And then for financial empowerment for women that wants to contest election. The truth is that politics is not cheap. It is very, very expensive. I can tell you that. So part of the requirement as a woman, you must, at least to an extent, be able to part away with some of your money. You are going to be selfless. You are going to be spending as if you are stupid. This is the truth. You will spend money without, you can't even start accounting. You cannot. How many do you want to account for? So you will be spending that money as if you are stupid. That is the word, because that is the experience I've had. I've been contesting elections since 2003. Calculate that. That's about 25 years or thereabout now. And I've lost and I've won. So I can tell you, whatever I tell you, just take it that is what it is. So you will need money. And you can generate that by partnership, cooperation, collaboration. There are a lot of, people that try to support. When you have the right, if you have the right material, people will come up to support you. At your workplace, at your immediate environment, seek support. Let people know what you stand for. It doesn't have to be financial. People can print t-shirts for you. They can give you face caps. They can give you other materials to support you. So don't be discouraged if you are not so financially buoyant. And I also tell a lot of our development partners, it's not enough for us to start talking about women inclusion, women inclusion. Even the ones that are there, what are we doing to retain them? For instance, in the 9th Assembly, we had 7 senators. Now we had 3 that won the election, and then Natasha joined to make 4. So we lost all those 7. We now have 3 fresh ones that won the election, and with Natasha making 4. So those 7, what happened? We need to do our research, find out what causes this loss, so that we can retain our gains and then maximize those gains. Not that we'll be losing and be going back and forth. So there must be something wrong in some of the policies that we are putting in place or some of our programs. And I've tried to tell a lot of our development partners that, look, some of us that are there now, we have a lot of situations in our constituencies back home. So it's not enough for us to have conferences or for us to travel out and all these things. We need you to look at some of the immediate issues that we have in our constituencies. We don't need you to give us the money. Just go when I tell you this community needs borehole. Help us to do the borehole and let me know where it is. And I can tell my constituents that I facilitated this. These are some of the ways we can sustain our women. And there will be demand for more women when the women that are there perform way better than the men. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Because of our time, nothing more to add. Just join me in appreciating this wonderful panel.
All right, thank you so much. And just before you go, quick mock election by voice vote. 2 competent women, 2 competent men. If you vote for the women, say aye. If you vote for the competent men, say nay. So this is what we'll do. All of that energy, take it into a political party. Join a political party. So how many of us will take a cue from this conversation and get actively involved in politics? You see, women are not raising their hands. Because we actually need to go beyond conversations, and these are some of the things that came up here. So women, are you going to join political parties? So you can vote for women when the time for primary comes? Please take note of everybody say yes. We'd like to thank you so much. We have to take quick pictures, and I'd like to invite the leadership of NASG and PIC to take pictures with them quickly as we wind down on this particular conversation. So the leadership of the NASG and the PIC, please let's step forward. Amazing conversation we've had today.